everybody. Happy Wednesday. All right, I'm just already going to call it. It's going to be Warehouse Works, the weird people Wednesday. We barely were able to get it together in order for us to we're deep breathing now. Mm-hmm. Okay, we're not going to laugh. You guys, we have something so incredible for you, for Victoria, for our community, because these are the hosts. Drum roll, please, to the new art show, Warehouse Works. This is my friend Christy, Pall, and this is Richie, Vios.
Hi.
And these guys are prolific artists, and you guys are going to start interviewing artists in the community and out of the community and all over the world. We are just going to be all kinds of art here at Southbridge Street Live. So welcome.
Thank
Let me
you,
see. Let's do your
Filipino way.
the Filipino way. Okay, I shouldn't have started that.
Nice.
Let's talk about this new show. All right, so tell me about, because we don't know really what we're doing. So we don't, I could tell you all I know for sure, we know for sure, is that we are going to be hosting this art show here at the Warehouse at 1102 North Williams. So this is going to be it. So that's what we've got so far for you guys. Well, that's the fastest show we've ever done. Have a great,
Adios.
All right, so what's your vision for this show?
Well, for our vision so far that we've discussed is very spontaneous type of artwork. Artists that people don't seem to know about, or artwork that you hear about when you talk to other artists, but you're not aware of it because you're not exposed to it, or you're not within the circle. The artist group, people who play with their creativity, whether it be on canvas or on the walls or on the sidewalks or wherever, tend to be a very close group of individuals. And a lot of them are very private people. And sometimes it takes just a little bit of help just to kind of get them to really appreciate how beautiful and awesome their work is. And that is one of my goals, is to help enlighten other people who have creativity, to help them bring their light out and shine and encourage other people.
So you guys are really kind of looking in the beginning for not the underground artists, but just for artists who are not necessarily well known in our community, which I think is phenomenal.
Absolutely.
We were building it together.
Absolutely.
It's very neat,
Yeah, that's going to be something that's incredible for us. Now, so you guys are going to be interviewing them together while they work.
Absolutely, that's the deal. Like very raw, and then you can see how it works.
Right.
Yes.
So it's kind of like we're covering several bases. You're getting to meet the artists because they're being interviewed, but you're also getting a little bit of a class. To an extent, you're going to watch an artist while they work, which I just think is phenomenal. But I really love that when we came together to discuss that, that everybody here was open to the idea of, we really need to bring out the artists in our community who are not necessarily well known. And I do love that. And one of the things right away that we were talking about today was just the street artists, and how incredible it is that they're going to have an opportunity now to come in and show their work and be known.
Oh, absolutely. And their creativity. I mean, we were speaking with a younger gentleman earlier, and the creativity and within his mind and his imagination is unbelievable. And that is the type of art that moves you. And so many people, it moves them in so many different ways. It's hard for, I think, the individual who creates it to explain, if that makes any sense.
Right.
So, I mean, even for, us that we play around with art, and Richie, who more so is his profession, it is, when you paint, you can't really express the emotions you feel when you're painting it, but you just kind of hope that when people look at it, that they feel something, and it can be something completely different than the angle you went in when you were doing it.
Absolutely. That's the beauty of the painting, because painting can talk.
Right.
It can transcend from how many years ago. That's the beauty in it. Like, I have a lot of clients that say, I can remember the school when I went in high school through paintings. How cool is that?
Right. Give me a little bit of define what your art is,
Mine is a watercolor, of course, and then I'm
watercolor.
do impressionism style. I don't care what the colors, I don't care. I'm more on the values. I'm a tonalist type of artist, not a colorist. So I mean,
so it's
color is just icing of the cake for me. I don't care. The sky is blue, yellow. I don't care. But the mood, that's why I'm trying to capture on.
Is the mood.
Yeah, it's
Yes.
the mood. Yeah.
Well, let me stay with you for a few minutes and ask you a couple of questions. Now, you were actually an architect and
Yes,
an
ma'am.
artist in the Philippines.
Philippines, yes, ma'am,
Yes.
yeah.
Okay, do the Philippine pose one more time. It's a little bit of an inside joke, but when these guys, when they start doing their show and they start relaxing, I'm telling you guys, you're going to crack up. It's going to be hard for them to get through the show.
Yeah, I mean, Philippine, every time you see a camera, like you do like this.
So that's will be his signature move on.
Most definitely. The opening and the closing.
Oh my.
What are you going to do? This would be great. This would be fantastic. Well, you were an architect
Yes,
or
ma'am.
an artist first?
No, I'm born with the artist family, so everybody can paint. Our house means like turpentine, actually. Not a candle scented one, it's turpentine. So, yeah, so, and then all my brothers and engineers, my father's an architect too. So, yeah, but
Right.
architect is really different than as an artist, yeah. So,
Oh.
Was it a huge thing for you spiritually to decide, even with a degree in architecture, coming into the United States and saying, you know what, I'm going to do this. I'm going to just be a full-time artist. Was that
probably took me like 5 years.
right?
Like,
To decide this
yeah,
is what you
once
wanted
we
to
migrate here, I work as a designer.
Here.
So
Yeah.
here, because I don't have a license, so I'm doing like all the stuff and everything as an architect, but my name is not there.
Oh,
Right.
okay.
It's like I squeeze the dry seal, but my name is not there. Like, oh, it's so difficult for me. Like all the legworks and everything,
Right.
but my name is not there.
Because you're
It's just
highly
paycheck.
educated as an architect in the Philippines, and you come
Yes.
here
I have
and you're like
license.
the understudy.
So I
The
back
apprentice.
home
Right.
for 4 years alone.
Mm-hmm.
Not what's called the one. No, so that's where I develop my skills
Mm-hmm.
in art, because I have all the time. My family is here. Then as an architect, but and then there's the plein air thing. It's so
Mm-hmm.
big.
Oh.
So that's the trigger machine. Like, oh my, I can do this.
I love the trigger machine. So tell everyone about plein air and say it in the French way.
Plein air.
Plein air.
I don't know.
Plein
That's
air.
I'm not a French guy.
Well, should-
I
you're
ate
not?
French fries. I ate French fries. Yes, but some people do
Oh,
plein
Lord.
air, but
Plein
yeah,
air, which means translates to
into outdoor,
outside.
outside.
So you will very often be driving around Victoria and might see this man. Sometimes Richie is in illegal places.
I like that. Well, I call that kamikaze painting.
Kamikaze.
Like, do not enter. I'm gonna enter.
I'm going to
Yeah.
enter.
Why not?
Just a
Why
little bit of a
not?
rebel.
Yeah.
This is,
Most
oh,
artists
if
are.
you are a street artist, you've been waiting for these two. I'm telling you right now. Why not?
Yeah.
Anyway, but you're out there and you've got a stool and a canvas and you are painting outside. What does painting outside, what is watercoloring and what is being outside do for you spiritually?
Yes. In short, I call it the happiest place on earth
Is outside?
when I paint with my
Wow.
easels.
Yeah.
Like, oh man, I mean, everything is like my eyes like this, but it's look like very big.
Yeah.
Like every details I see.
Right.
But I captured that one not like a photograph. I process that
Yes.
one with my brain, my heart, and then release in my hands. That
Wow.
Nice. I like that.
So,
Wow, that's a tough act to follow. Are you ready,
Yes.
Christy, for yours?
I have 3 things to do, like my brain, my heart,
Heart.
and my release.
In your hand.
And then
Wow.
if you buy my
That's very
work,
true.
you buy part of me.
Wow.
It's not like picture and then copy it. It's
Right,
part of me.
exactly.
Yeah, it's
Everything
part
is
of you.
original.
I like
Where are you?
that.
Where can we find some of your work?
Oh, I have coming shows by June in Rockport Art Loop,
Right.
and then October at Corpus Christi,
Yeah.
and then San Angelo this October, probably all around, and then New Mexico in November, I guess. Yeah. So,
Oh, New Mexico.
Can we go to New Mexico?
Where?
I'm
New
looking
Mexico.
at you. Yeah, we're gonna
it's
follow
like
you to
there's
New
a
Mexico.
plein air thing again.
Uh-huh.
So it's just a convention of all around the world.
In
Then you have-
Taos or Santa Fe?
Well,
or?
Curioso
that's
is
the
supposed to be
place
really
where George O'Keeffe inspired of
Santa Fe.
Santa Fe, Mexico. So
Yes,
we're gonna
yes.
paint there
Please,
for a
please.
week again.
a week
Wonderful.
Yeah,
in
that's
November when it's probably
no,
snowing.
it's. I
Oh,
think
yeah, but
it's.
it's
I'm sorry, it's
beautiful.
September 2022 something, and then
Yeah.
Very enchanting. I
yeah.
understand. New Mexico is very enchanting for
Yeah,
artists. I've
yeah. I
not
mean,
been.
we call it the Borchina
Burkina?
Borchina color place, like everything in
Wow.
brown, China look, and then of
Earthy.
course earthy, and then plus the weather coming,
Yeah.
Oh, the
can see
movement of the
it
clouds in the,
the
sky.
saturated, that's I love
Have
to
you
capture
been
the-
to New Mexico
Not yet.
before?
Yeah.
Oh,
not
Richie,
yet.
you're going to
Oh,
fall
not
in love
ever,
with it.
ever.
Not yet.
Okay, I've been to
Oh my
Santa Fe
gosh,
before.
yeah, me too.
Oh, yeah, you won't want to leave.
I know. I was just thinking that same thing. I was like, we got to make sure that we go so we can bring him back home.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love, there's so much to paint here, maybe in my lifetime.
Wow.
In Texas alone, like when I'm driving, like I'm tired.
Yes,
Like,
your eyes get tired because there's so much you're
my
taking
brain is
photographic.
like after Galveston, I paint whole week.
Yeah.
It gave me like probably after a week, I'm tired because everything I see is like paintings.
Right.
You see
Everything
art
is a
everywhere you
painting.
go.
Like that's
Is it hard to look at me
It's hard.
while you're?
No,
'cause you
it's-
just wanna,
it's been 2 weeks,
because it's
so
just
now
art.
I'm-
Now it's
I'm
like
draining,
you just
but,
want to paint.
Yeah,
me.
you
I get that a lot. I get that a lot. It's like it's exhausting.
paint
Right?
But everything I see is nice painting. In your case, everything I see, everything.
Very good, Richie.
Everything is. Well, Christy, tell me about you. Tell me about
Well,
your.
My past of art is a little bit very different.
I like that.
I graduated with a business degree in accounting. Well, I started off college wanting to be a lawyer. And I was like, no, political science. I did that for a semester.
Right.
And I was like, asleep. So I was like, let me try psychology because I love talking to people and I love the way the mind works. Well, then I thought, well, okay, that's not going to work because then I have to go on and get my PhD. And I really enjoyed college a lot, but I didn't know if I liked that serious part of it. So I was like, well, let me just try business. I can always get a job that way. So I went into business, got a degree majoring in accounting. I did accounting ever since I graduated college, did bookkeeping, private accounting. And never have taken an art class, never could draw anything other than stick people. Really can't really draw still. But I started, after I went through some changes in my life, a very close friend of mine kind of inspired me to paint. So you just kind of paint. They kept kind of teasing me with Bob Ross and kind of, joking around. So I was like, well, I'm going to give this a go. Good therapy. So I started and I was like, wow, I really like this. And it was an emotional
Release.
for me. And then I got to where I was doing it every night. I had canvases all throughout my living room and dining room, different sizes, really big. I like to go really big. I've tried
What's
small.
your medium?
Acrylic, and I do acrylic and oil. And now I've even thrown nature in it. I throw maybe pine needles in it, pine cones, paint them, just kind of whatever I really kind of feel. So then some pieces would take me, one took me over a year. I just kind of let it lay around and started out with one idea and it ended with another and just kind of ran with it. I've done outside, I've set up outside. I really like that. I don't really do pictures or anything. The only picture I've done, I sketched a couple, like a nude couple together. And that was fun just out of pencil. And that turned out really cool. So I'm kind of diving into some other deeper areas. Sometimes I have a little place out in the country, a room separate from the house that I go out to. It's all open. And I open up the doors and the windows and kind of hang out. Sometimes some of my paintings get a little dark. Mentally dark, not in a bad way, but in kind of a dark, bright way. Does that make sense? Depending on music I'm listening to or poetry I'm reading. I like poetry a lot. And so I kind of connect with that with my painting and
That's the emotions of the paintings I like.
yeah, it's kind of like a person who paints is kind of like a poet of color.
Yeah, absolutely.
A poet of color.
A poet of color. I think a lot of people can relate to that. Some people.
I copy the one, like on my title of my painting, the poet. Can I borrow the one?
Borrow it. So it's kind of like words. You know, sometimes if you have a hard time expressing your words, you can express it with your hands. I find that some people, it seems like a lot of people that you come across that are very creative and have a high imagination tend to have really I don't want to say overactive brains, but very active minds. And so everything they're looking at is three-dimensional almost in a different way than what you're really looking at.
Right.
You know, like, well, I go to hiking and I can look at nature and I can go, ooh, wow, I see a man and a woman sitting there and it's the trees and everything I look at, it's some type of artistic picture. Somebody else looks at it and goes, that's just two trees. And I'm like, oh, but don't you see the man holding the woman and the trunk and the trees and the arms? Yeah.
That's why I say in my class, like, be careful, because once you do art, your universe changes. Because you see a lot of, you know, I mean, in the shadows you can see.
Well, let me ask you this then. What about for someone who, you know, by definition doesn't ever feel like they really were artistic in some way, but loves to play in the paint and loves to, you know, like, what advice would you give to someone who was just starting out?
Express yourselves.
Paint. Don't follow any rules, no matter what people say. Don't let them change your way of thinking. I've had individuals say, ooh, I don't like how that turned out. Can you change it? And I'm like, no, you don't like it, but this person may like it, and this person may love it. So, I mean, I have absolutely no art background and was very private and very insecure about it until I kind of got a chance at the little art gallery in town, and that took them, and I was just like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this. You know, this is so cool. But that kind of took me over the step and going, you know what, I'm just going to put whatever I want on the canvas. If it's handprints, fingerprints, whatever. It doesn't have to make sense. It's not supposed to make sense. It's not supposed to be able to be explained.
Right. That's what I was that was my very next question, which is, does all art need to be explained?
No.
Because I find that with like
so.
tattoos, like sometimes when people want to know what is the meaning behind every tattoo that you have, and I'm like, you know, sometimes there's no meaning at all. I just loved the
art or the emotion.
Exactly. Right. Yeah.
Absolutely.
There's no explanation for it.
Yeah.
And how subjective it is.
Oh,
you know,
right.
truly.
That's the beauty of art. I mean, you know, you create something. That's art for me.
Yes.
If you just copy a book or whatever, like, oh man, it's not art. It's just, you're just a craftsman for me.
And it takes you to a whole nother level. Anytime you put your hand on something, whether I've even just done some paintings with just my fingers in the paint, no brushes. I've done it with leaves or paint brushes or squirted it on, splattered it on. It's just kind of whatever. I have got it all over my hands, and but my dog gets in the middle of it sometimes. But it's just, it takes you to a whole nother turning point of thinking. And I think it's very healthy, and I think people should expose themselves and play with it more, and just go out, buy the canvas, buy some little paints, and just
Express.
do whatever you want.
What do you guys think of in terms of, like, just very open and honestly, how are we doing as a community when it comes to supporting artists? How are we doing? Oh, okay. Okay. So this is an avenue for us to be able to support the artist, because that's something that we're very passionate about. You know, not just here on the couch in the chair, but over here and behind the scenes and all of that. As a matter of fact, one of the cool things about what's going to happen here at Warehouse Works is once the artist completes the work, or the work, even if you guys are doing an interview and the art is not completed, but the artist takes
Which is even better.
Right, which is even better, because there's really no time constraint. It's really just to be able to get to know the artist and to be able to get to know the process of the art in which they are working with, the medium in which they're working with. Then what we're going to do to further that is what we have here, what Joel Sager calls the longest, most narrow art gallery in Victoria.
Yes,
and that
so
gallery
cool.
is going to be open
Yeah.
specifically for the artists that you guys interview, And then once that interview is complete and the work is complete, that gets hung in the longest, most narrow art gallery in Victoria. That's going to eventually roll off of everyone's tongue. So easy.
Yes. 3 times, real fast.
Warehouse Works and the longest, most narrow art gallery in Victoria. And so what do you think, 6 months to a year, we'll have an art exhibit that just highlights and features the artists that you guys have featured on your show.
Absolutely. Like an annual celebration.
Like
from
an
the date
annual
of the first show.
celebration. I love that. I
I'm
think
looking
that's
forward for
awesome.
the Victoria Art Festival.
Yes,
Oh,
open on the
man.
streets.
Oh,
Are you guys, is
Like-
that what we're going to work on?
Oh, that'd be
Yes,
awesome.
I-
To
Okay,
do
we
a
need to do
downtown
that.
open artistic festival where it's all artists.
you start a movement here,
Right. We
Yeah.
really need it.
Fall movement.
No, we really, really need it. I mean, there are so
absolutely.
many. Like, I love the Nave. I think that the Nave is a phenomenal institution, and the Victoria Art League, of course, we're always going to be so passionate because you're the artist in residence. And I had my original studio, South Bridge Street Live. You don't know how many people in the last week, I don't know what that is, have said, well, you're in North William, but your show is Southbridge Street Life. And I'm like, yes, because we started this tiny little studio, at the Victoria Art League. So it's always going to have my heart. This is just another avenue and another resource. But I really think that the show is phenomenal. The gallery is going to be incredible. But it's also that you guys are going to move art in Victoria that in the way that artists have been really, really wanting to.
And move artists, because
Right.
I think a lot of artists are just, like I said, they're really private, and when you work on something, it is part of you, because you become emotionally attached. I mean, I even went through a phase where my mom's like, you have to sell some of these. I'm like, they're priceless to me.
Yeah.
I don't know how to put a price on any of this. So a lot of them I give away to very close people that I connect with, or that create a
we're
connection
close.
where I part.
We're close, right?
So it's just a really cool, when you get, what is it? I'm not Filipino, it doesn't work. So, but when you get that emotional attachment, when you let a piece of you in it, it's very sacred.
Right. Right. Well, that is a part of the thing is that we are going to be allowing, like, that I love this so much, and I keep reiterating it, but I think it's very important, especially if in our community, an artist that isn't particularly well known, or who's never been invited to an art gallery, who's never had their work shown,
Or had the courage to
right, or
submit
have
their
the
artwork
courage
to a
submit
gallery.
it, right?
Shown.
This
And
is
so,
the
and I'm
show.
going to assume that you don't really care about the medium or the
No.
age, but
I
you
want
also
whatever.
don't care about the what their experience has been as so far as showing. You're just going to highlight artists in the community,
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
and that's going to be
100%.
phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. Okay, so you guys are airing twice a month on Southbridge, and then of course Southbridge Street Live is on YouTube. Warehouse Works, and is there anything that you guys want to talk about that you want to say, because this is kind of our shout out to, hey, listen, if you're an artist in our community,
Yeah,
this
any
is
type
gonna
of
be- this is
artist,
gonna be
even
a new-
metal, sculpting, clay, that would be really cool. I'd like to
Yeah.
see that.
Absolutely, yeah.
yeah. Well, and you want street art, like
Oh,
I think
I
that's
would
awesome.
love to see
and
street
and here's
art.
the deal: we have materials, like there's always repurposing here. This is a fence from Harvey, so we've got metal, we've got things, we've got brick.
We just need the hands and the minds.
Hands in the minds and the willingness to say, all right, I'll give you 30 minutes of my time. Now, what will you do if an artist is so tremendously shy and they say, listen, like, I'll come, I really want to do this thing and I'm super honored to have the opportunity, but I'm pretty shy, and can you guys go through one where there's nobody talking at all?
Oh, like a fuzz out?
We're not fuzzing anybody out.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, absolutely. I guess there's all kind of technical tricks, right? Where we could just have like an invisible person there, and you could just see the movement of the paint or their hand or their art, whatever's doing. Can you make them invisible? Just make them comfortable. The more comfortable an artist is, the more imagination the door opens for them.
Right.
So their environment has to be a comfortable environment. If it's music or if it's whatever kind of turns them,
Right.
on and gets them into the flow. I call it the flow, because once the individual gets into the flow, then it's pretty much unstoppable.
Absolutely, yeah.
And they get in the zone.
Yeah, I mean, for me, that's why I paint in the morning, not in the afternoon, or definitely not in the evening, because my problem is how to stop. I cannot sleep anymore. Like the creative juice is keep on flowing. It's like a faucet, like loose bulb. Like I'm so tired in the following day, so that's why I paint morning.
And
wow, that's
cool.
pretty incredible
Yeah.
discipline too.
So morning, because
Or
you know,
midday.
like I said, like but yeah, I mean, I my advice to the the new artists, like gone is the days like you paint in the studio and then let somebody discover you. No, today there's so many platforms.
Right.
So this is one platform to showcase your works and discover. I mean, artists need money too.
Yes,
so
right. So that the gallery works
pay.
will be for sale, right? If
absolutely,
depending on if that's something that moves that the artist is inclined to do.
Yes.
But really, what you're saying again is that just the door's open.
Yeah,
Yes.
the double doors are open.
And we're going to shoot inside the warehouse, which makes me super excited because the warehouse is
And the
big
warehouse
and
is
beautiful.
super cool.
Yeah, it's got
cool.
beautiful
Super cool.
lighting. Yes.
Lighting and
Wow.
everything.
It's like an individual's dream.
And then the hoops, which is I
Oh
really
my
like.
goodness! Yes, but
You
no,
beat-
no,
you
Richie,
almost
we're
beat
not-
me.
No, I didn't almost beat you. The score was 36-12. There was no I
You
almost.
remember-
Not
He's
almost.
he's so optimistic, right? And yes, you can actually play basketball in the warehouse too.
Yes,
But we're
and
not
ping
doing
pong.
that, Richie. We're painting.
That's why I like that
pong.
warehouse,
Or
because there's a
sculpting.
hoop.
Or sculpting.
Yep.
And then I was going to say one thing to you really quick is that you are only the second person that I've ever met that was an attorney, then became a business major, that turned artist. And it's so important for me just to give this out to you is it was Harold Nichols. And I interviewed him from the Victoria Art League, and he really like a big part of what I'm doing right now on this set and where we've come over the last few years is because of his.
Yeah, he was
his
a really
He
cool
was
man.
such a great mentor, and he had nothing to do with art for me, but just to continue to be inspired to always give back to the people and always give back to the community. And he was sort of what I would consider an accidental, artist as well. So
Share your light.
So how incredible it is that we would meet and that we would say, hey, let's do this together, that Richie and I would, be so connected to the Victoria Art League and Harold Nichols. And then, of course, she would be a business major, becoming an artist.
And you know what's
full
cool
circle,
about the
cool
Art
stuff.
League is that is part of my family ancestry. My maiden name is Thurmond, and it's the Thurmond Building. So a family member owns the building and ran the building.
Wow.
Yeah, so how cool the connection is.
Oh my goodness, that's amazing.
And then the other cool part is when I got married, Harold, we got married at the Thurmond Building. It wasn't a historical building then at the time, or didn't have the plaque yet. And Harold Nichols is the one who did the wedding. And of course, he's roaming around in his overalls. And we
Which
had
part? The patio?
in the outside.
Yeah, did he cook?
Yes, he had the cauldron
Oh my
of the shrimp
gosh.
gumbo, and then I took him a cow skull that I was given to by a friend, and he painted a picture on the cow skull, and I just recently touched it up, and I have it displayed in my little art shop. So I
Oh
do
my goodness, at Cotton Bell?
Yes. So it's
I
really cool.
saw that the other
Yeah.
day. Oh my gosh, that
Yes.
is so awesome.
So it's kind of carrying on his history, but he was really cool. The only thing that he asked for whenever I got married was he said, any wine that's left over, I want to have it all. Can you imagine that?
I love that.
Yeah.
Yes, I could.
Yeah, really cool
Absolutely.
guy. So.
Oh, that's the neatest. Well, this has been so incredible, you guys, and
Yes.
it's just an incredible journey that we're about to embark on together.
Oh,
And
I
I know
agree.
that our producer is super excited because he's a phenomenal artist, and maybe one day we can get him on the show because he does incredible light work
Yes,
photography.
we saw it. It was beautiful.
Absolutely, yeah.
beautiful.
So, well, thank you guys so much for everything that we're doing. So do you guys know when you're filming your first episode? Soon.
Soon.
Very, very soon.
Yeah.
Very soon.
Yes,
Yeah,
we're very excited.
Do you have your first artist picked?
I think we do. We've got it. I think we've got it narrowed down to about
Yeah,
3.
yeah, we
Well,
have-
we've talked
yeah.
back and forth, and we've got 3 that were like 3 or 4 that were like,
This is going to be amazing. So if you are an artist in Victoria, you are welcome to contact Christy Pall or Richie Vios. You can even contact Southbridge Street Live. And then I guess we'll set up something just for warehouse works. This will be
Yes.
awesome. So if you're going to get Vios, you know, I know you got your first tattoo. Are you going to get warehouse works on the other arm?
I think so, yeah.
we need a logo. A good,
guys,
cool
yes.
logo.
This is
I
gonna
think
be
we
super
found one
fun.
earlier.
Well, I'm very, very
Yes,
excited.
me too.
So excited for you guys and
Thank
for us.
you. Of
Thank
course,
you guys
I
so
always-
much for coming
Thank
and
you.
doing a little sneak peek tease. Thank you guys so much
Thank you.
for watching
you.
Southbridge Street Live.